boys in my family. And it was the most painful experience in my life because, you see, my family was everything to me. They're my nurturing, my emotional support, everything. And my older brother was the closest to me. And when he was killed, I was actually called to identify the body because the car got burned and they couldn't tell whether it was him or not. They thought it was him and it was his car. And I thought that night, oh my goodness, how do I call my mom and my dad that are in Miami? How do I call my brothers that are all spread out and tell them that my brother is no longer here, that he may be dead? I couldn't do it because we weren't sure. And when I go into the police department the next morning, they tell me that it was him. Somehow they found some dental records overnight. I think that there must be a database of dentistry in which dental records are put somewhere because the FBI has access to so many things. But in the middle of the night, they discovered that it was him. And they didn't want me to see the body like that because they thought that it would be not a positive experience. But the only justification that I can honestly come up with for that painful experience was to actually recognize that my brother did not know that he was not going to be here the next day. As 27 years old, and all the success that he had, he did not know he was going to be here the next day. And I chose from that day on to live my life like if there's only one day left. There's only one day left. And if there's only one day left, then the question is, if I was to ask you to right now, if you have paper and pen, to write the 3 things that are the most important things in your life. What are the 3 things that you value the most in your life right now? And take 30 seconds to write it. Think about it. And even if you don't write it, think about it. The 3 things that are the most important things in your life, what would they be? And let me tell you what I've recognized. Is that most of us are taking those 3 things for granted every day. Because we're searching something else. Either we're living in where we want to be, either we're living in what we wish we had, either we're living in comparing ourselves with other people, which doesn't make any sense because we're all individuals, we're all unique. And we take those things for granted. And for most people, when you do this exercise, and I've done it many times, most people will put faith, family, and career, passion. Those are the typical 3 that you will find. And if it's your faith, then what is your faith in? Is your faith in a religion only? Is your faith in a spirituality that goes beyond religion? Is your faith in what you do every single day and why you do it? Because that's critical. The second thing is your family. How many times do we sacrifice family for the sake of business, for the sake of money? When in reality, if I was to tell you that you only had 24 hours to live, how would you choose those 24 hours would dictate what you really value. And I promise you, many of you are not going to go to the bank and they're going to say, oh man, I wish I could make another $1 million right now in these 24 hours. Many of you are not going to go to your bank and count your money and do all of that. So take care of your family. Don't put them as a last resort. Don't sacrifice them, especially when they're young. And then your purpose, and that's really what I want to focus on. Because you see, if you have selected, how many chiropractors do we have in the room? How many non-chiropractors do we have in the room? Okay. Whether you choose to be a chiropractor or you are a chiropractor, whether you're a student right now, whether you're a CA, whether you're a spouse, the one thing to recognize is that our purpose in life is the most precious things that we can choose. And it is a choice. It is a choice. We can choose to live our lives for whatever purpose and whatever cause that we choose to live for. I believe that this is an environment that, as we have here, all of our speakers, yesterday and today, is that chiropractic is a discussion that we're having here. New Beginnings is about reconnecting with our purpose as chiropractors. And the reason that that's so critical is because, you see, Most of us are out there and feeling like islands. Many of us are not even getting adjusted on a weekly basis. So why would anybody else consider doing that if we don't do it ourselves? Many of us are not adjusting our children, but we're primed to promote other people to consider adjusting their children. Many of us are not volunteering time to go either to a mission like our mission, which changed my life because it allowed me to see the power of an adjustment. You see, this mission was not bringing religion. This mission was not bringing money. This mission was not bringing crates of foods and beverage and all of these things. This mission was bringing the chiropractic adjustment. And we saw more eyes open up, children, adults, all ages, open up to recognize that the power of an adjustment is the power of life. And that is more beneficial than any food that you can feed them for that day. Because that's life-changing. They got reconnected with something greater. And they recognized that they were they meant something to somebody other than themselves. Because this group of volunteers went there to serve, and they serve. Long days, thousands of people, they serve. What are you doing to serve? Because you see, all of us in our inner cities, we have the same challenges going on where people are destitute, homeless on the streets, people that don't have any food to eat. Are we doing anything to support those people through chiropractic? Are you offering yourselves to go to the Salvation Army and said, I'm going to put a chair right now and I want to adjust every single person in this building? Not just to feed them a lunch, but give them an adjustment so they can be reconnected with something greater. Maybe that adjustment will get them back on track so they can be productive members of society. Have you ever wondered that? Here we are feeding all these homeless people. How many of you have met a homeless person? How many of you have spent quality time with a homeless person? I used to do a lot of volunteer work to homeless shelters when I was in high school. And I have a friend of mine that is a millionaire, multi-millionaire, that does one thing every year. He dresses like a homeless person and spends the night in the streets with the homeless people. Every single year he does this. Nobody knows this. He's a very famous person. If I tell you his name, you'll know it. But he said to me, Fab, the reason that I do that is to remind myself that all of these things that I have mean nothing if I don't know who I am as a person. And unfortunately, we have a lot of brothers and sisters living in the streets, lost. Children that wanted to leave their homes, lost. Yes, we can go to the Dominican Republic and we can go to Haiti and we can go to all these incredible places and help support those people in agony. But we have those same people right here in our neighborhoods. Look at the high schools. I do a lot of mentoring in high schools. I go to an elementary school and the kids are like, okay, kids, what do you want to do when you grow up? Me. I want to be a chiropractor. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a president. I want to be an astronaut. One time I got somebody to tell me, I want to be a superhero. And I'm like, how cool is that? A superhero. And then I go to high school, and they're sitting back in their chair like this, looking at me like, what are you going to tell me? You know, I got nothing to look forward to. I don't even know if I'm going to go to college. I got no purpose in my life. I live in a household with no purpose. New Beginnings is about purpose. It's about reconnecting you with your purpose. And what are you doing to nurture that on an ongoing basis? See, you can come here 3 times every year. But what are you doing on an ongoing basis to get reconnected? If you go to my car for 20-something years, it's a library. Can't get into my car without hearing Sigafus and Reggie Gold and all the greats in chiropractic. It is what I do in order to stay connected with who I am as a chiropractor.